My name is Sam and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to have another soft-spoken ramble about something similar to what I was talking about last time. Last time we talked about why people come to London, where I live, and why they leave, because a lot of people tend to leave. And today I thought I would tell you a little bit more about why I personally came to London 13 and a half years ago. So it's been a while. And I know I started this channel primarily to do soft-spoken and sometimes whispered rambles, but I am thinking of venturing into different kinds of ASMR, so we will see how things progress, but first I'll need to still settle into this new adventure, which as I've mentioned before is very different from what I usually do, because I have a YouTube channel where I teach English as a foreign language, so this is very, very different from what I've been doing for the past 3 years. But yes, I will be practicing a few triggers and things like that, so we'll see what the future holds. I keep forgetting to say this at the beginning of every video, so I'm now cutting into the video to say that it would mean the world if you could subscribe to my channel and like this video. And now let's go back to what I was saying. So, going back to being in London, I came here straight after secondary school. I'm from the north of Italy originally, and so I came here when I was 19 basically. I'm now 32, so it's been a while. And as I said in my previous video, I am one of the very few people who love being in London. Most people don't like it, which is why they leave. And the reason why I'm here is bizarre, and this is also a big appreciation video for my mum, because it's mainly thanks to her that I'm here, and I am eternally grateful for that and for her, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a minute. So my reason for being here is linked to my very bizarre career. As a child, I always wanted to be either a dancer or an English teacher. I was an amateur dancer for 10 years, just for fun, nothing professional. I then quickly realised that dancing was not a career choice for me, because I didn't like it in that way. And I then wanted to become an actor or an English teacher, but then I really wanted to become an actor. I studied languages in secondary school in Italy, and the reason why I'm here is completely unknown to all of us in the family. I am a language geek, which is why I teach English, so I've always liked languages in a way that it satisfies my brain. So speaking foreign languages really makes me chemically happy in my brain. I don't really know how to explain that. And English has always been my primary passion. And for some reason I've always wanted to speak English. Languages are taught very badly in Italy, but I did a lot of self-studying back home. I would spend my afternoons learning English, watching things in English. As a very young child, I was a geek from the get-go, and I've always wanted to live somewhere where I can speak English on a daily basis. I don't like speaking Italian. I know it sounds weird, but yeah, English makes me happy, and I can express myself much better. And we've never really understood why that is. I mean, it's one thing to like a language, of course. It's another to identify with the language. And it's always been a mystery. And now, as I grow older, I think it does have something to do with the fact that I am gay and I couldn't really be myself back home. So maybe that is my way of escaping. That's the only psychological explanation that I can give to it myself. I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a therapist, and I've never really discussed it with anyone in the field, so I might be completely off, but as an ignorant person in the field, this is the only explanation that I can give myself. And but I never really knew that, and I at the time, and I even now I can't really tell you, oh, I know for a fact that that's why I speak languages, and I love speaking languages, and I wanted to move here. But my dream had always been to move to London, and I don't really even know why, because I'd never really travelled to London. As a young child, I never really travelled anywhere. But then I did come to London with school a couple of times, so at least I knew somewhere in England. And I studied languages, while I also knew that I wanted to become an actor, but I wanted to become an actor in English, so I wanted to act in English. Obviously, well, London was the best option. And what was really bizarre was that while I was in secondary school, I fell in love with maths. I had always been very good at it, without even really studying it, but I'd never thought anything of it. I was a proper swot at school. I knew everything about everything, not because I cared, but just because I was, I don't know, too vain to fail. The only subjects that I actively liked were languages and all sorts of sciences, but I was the best at history, geography, philosophy, but I don't know anything about those subjects now. As soon as I handed in my tests and exams, I would forget everything because I just memorised everything just to get a good mark. So maths I knew that I was good at, but I just thought it was one of those things that, you know, I could do. But then, thanks to my teacher in the last 3 years of secondary school, I really fell in love with it because I understood what maths is about. It's not just about formulas, it's about the logic behind it, and it can show you how far the brain can stretch and what it can conquer, and I love it. And I personally think that languages are maths. In fact, on my other channel, I teach languages through mathematical logic. It's bizarre. I am a geek, to tell you that, so I wasn't joking. But do go and have a look at the channel. I will link it in the description. This is not a plug for my channel, but, you know, some people out there might be at least intrigued to see what I'm talking about. So, after thinking that I wanted to become an actor for so long, I really wanted to do maths, and I got into maths university in Bologna, where I'm from, in the north of Italy. Now, I did it before secondary school was over because maths is so unpopular and everyone hates it so much that the university in Bologna did an entry test not only in September, when you would normally do university tests, but they also hold a session the February before. So while I was still in my last year of secondary school, in that February, I took an entry test that would tell me there and then if I was then accepted into the first year of university. I got in. I primarily did it for the fun of it, for the pure and sheer joy of doing maths, because I knew that I wanted to become an actor deep down. But it was there as an option and as a great experience. And when it actually came to it, I was really torn. I had spent my whole life daydreaming, fantasizing about going to London to speak English and to act and to learn how to act. I wanted to be in film and television. I studied screen acting. But then moving to London was a big thing. I am extremely lucky and grateful that I am very close to my family. My family is just me and my mum and my brother, and I am very close to them, especially with my mum. And I know it doesn't really happen that much within families, so I am genuinely grateful that that's the case with me. So when it came to it, my choice was either to stay in Bologna and do maths and to live with my family, or to come here and leave everything and everyone behind and start from, scratch is an understatement. And as much as I loved the idea of coming here and to finally speak English and all of that, I think I would have stayed, because leaving my family behind was, the idea of leaving them behind was just too much. And this is where my mum came in. My mum never really travelled in her life. Well, now she does, thanks to me, a little bit more. She comes from a tiny little village in the middle of nowhere in Italy, close to where I grew up, because the main city is Bologna, but it's 30 minutes away from my village, which is called, the translation would be woods. So that tells you how much entertainment we have there. It's just woods. So the fact that I wanted to come to London was a big thing for her. I mean, not only was I just leaving, the nest, but I was moving to a different country with a different language and all of that. And she could have very easily just encouraged me to study maths in Bologna, where I would have just lived at home for at least 5 years of university, because maths I think is 5 years if I remember correctly. And so that would have been a selfish choice as a parent. But no, despite how close we are, and despite what me leaving would have meant to the dynamic of the family, she was the one that pushed me to come here. So in September I came here. I'd found an acting school from Italy, and then in September I went to audition, and then I got in. So my plan would have been to buy like a ticket and a return ticket, so I could be in England for a week, 10 days, just so I could go to the audition, and I could try to find accommodation, because I was 19 from the middle of nowhere, so I had no idea how any of these things work. Also, I am more on the brainy side, my brother is more on the practical side, so moving to a different country was definitely not something that I was mentally equipped to do. So my idea was that. But my mum, so not only did she push me to come here because she knew that deep down acting and performing in general were the things that I really wanted to do on a primal level, so maths would have made me happy, but not as happy as performing in English in England. So not only did she push me, but she also forbade me from buying a return ticket, because she knew that that would have been a safety blanket, a net that I didn't need. I had to come here and to face the reality, the brutal reality of moving to a different country where people speak another language. And to be honest, the language was never a problem for me, but it's a different culture, definitely. So the language comes with a different culture as well. And she knew that I needed an abrupt break from Italy, because having anything that I could hang on to would have prevented me from making, the full step into this new reality. And at the time, I was not happy about it. But in hindsight, I understand that she did the right thing. I mean, I can't believe not only that obviously she accepted the fact that I wanted to go, but the fact that she actively forced me to go against my conscious will. But she knew that my subconscious will was to come here. So that was brilliant. Again, I have no complaints. I only have gratitude for what she did. And moving here was a shock. I mean, I thought I was ready for a shock, but not the kind of shock that I found here. So, remember, I'd spent my whole life fantasizing about moving here, and then I did move here, and the first 10 days without a return ticket I spent in a hostel with 15 other people in my room. Now, I am very easily adaptable. I come from the middle of nowhere. I come from a family of farmers. My mum is a teacher, but my grandparents are farmers. As a child, I used to work in the field. I used to drive tractors. I used to help my grandma with chickens. So it's not like I don't like to get my hands dirty, and I'm definitely not the princess as some of my friends accuse me to be. But 15 people in the same room was a lot. But I have to say, I am extremely proud of how easily I adapted to that, because obviously I remember I got there, so when I landed in London it was nighttime already, and I got to this hostel and I walked into this room. It was pitch dark, obviously, and I just thought, what's my life become? I mean, I am in a room with 15 people, but I adapted very easily. It didn't really bother me. So that was good on me, I have to say. And what I did not expect was my reaction to being in London. Obviously, I was overwhelmed with what I had to do with my life, with my school, and with accommodation. I'd never lived anywhere else other than my family home. So even in Italy, it would have been a struggle for me to find somewhere, because I would not have known where to start. So I had to find a newspaper. Well, it wasn't more of just a newspaper, not even a magazine. At the time, it was all paper-based, where they had ads for rooms, and then I started calling people up, and then I found my accommodation. But the first 10 days were really, really hard, because I just wanted to go back home, and I did not expect that. I was very disappointed in myself and in how badly I was reacting to the situation. I kept staring at my laptop thinking, okay, I will buy a return ticket. I kept staring at my at the Ryanair page, fantasizing and daydreaming about buying a return ticket, but I knew that I couldn't, I shouldn't, and I'm very lucky that I stuck it out, because there was a point where I was literally falling apart and I really wanted to go back, but again my mum got me to stay. And as a parent, it must have been very hard to tell your child who is begging to come back to stay away, because you know that deep down it's for their own good. Again, I can only be grateful. And after that, I moved into my flat. Actually, it was a house. Well, I had a room in a shared house. And then my school started, and things slowly started falling into place. And that's why I'm here, and the rest of is history. Because I am a bit of a geek, I'm a bit of a socially awkward person, as I mentioned, well, in this video about a book review of lessons in chemistry. It's very weird for me to promote other videos on this channel, because I do it all the time on my English channel, because I mention videos that talk about topics related to the ones that I talk about in a specific video, but I never thought I would do it on an ASMR channel. But yes, you can have a look at that if you're interested. So the first years were very weird, because although I did make friends in school, I didn't really go out much and all of that, because I was just finding my feet. The first 18 years of my life were, I was more or less a robot, in the sense that I was extremely socially inept, and I still am. I had plenty of friends. The funny thing was that even in secondary school, I was in a class of 27 people with a lot of different little groups that sort of hated each other, and I was the only one who got on with all of them. I was the geek and the swot that nobody could stand, because I knew all the answers to everything, but at the same time I got on with everyone, which to this day is completely absurd to me. I don't understand, because of all the people, I should not have been that person, but it's great, I can't complain. But here, also, I had no money, and I'd never worked in my life other than as a farmer for the family and as a English tutor. So I had to find a job, which for me was insane, because it's not that it's beneath me, it's just that I am the brainy one in the family. My brother is a physical one. So for me, well, I had to become a waiter. It took me a year to come to terms with the fact that I had to do something like that. So for the first year, my mum was paying for everything, and looking back, I feel terrible about it. But then I found a job and making money in a way that I didn't particularly like, but it did help me mentally, and then things started falling into place even more, and now I am here. And as I said, my passion for languages in general is still unknown to me. I mean, there doesn't need to be a reason specifically. The same way I like, I don't know, pineapple, and someone else may not. But because I feel so strongly about languages, and also so strongly about not wanting to speak Italian, I'm sure there is something that can be explained scientifically. And again, I think it has to do with the fact that I couldn't really be myself there. So that's why I also spent my first 18 years as a bit of a robot, because I couldn't really come out of my shell at all. And it took me a while to come out of my shell here. I mean, for example, I've always known throughout my whole life that I was gay, but even when I was here for the first 2 years and I was in my acting course, I didn't come out. I didn't want people to know. I mean, everyone knew, because I I'm gay. But I'd never said it out loud. And even though there was no one here that could compromise my reputation back home, I still did not want it to be known. So obviously I had 18 years worth of stigma to get through and to get past. And then when I started telling people, I started feeling a bit more like myself. And here I am still. I am one of the very few people who like living in London for the reasons that I mentioned in my video from last time, so do go and have a look at that as well. And so yes, about the fact that I don't like speaking Italian. When I first moved here, I was really against it, and I almost denied my Italian roots, although I was and still am very close to my family. And I think, yes, there is something connected to the fact that I couldn't really express myself, but over the years I've now realised that I embrace it a little bit more. Obviously, I don't speak Italian here. When I am in England, I do not want to speak any Italian. Even to Italian people, I have a few Italian friends, but I do not speak Italian to them. I know it's weird, but I'm in England because I want to speak English, and I think it's only fair that I should do that. But it's less of a trauma. Well, it's not a trauma anymore when I go back home and speak Italian. Also, I love my family, so I try to go back home at least 3 times a year if I can. So yes, it's all. This specific aspect of my life is a work in progress, and I can see the results. So I am happy, and again, I am eternally grateful to my mum for making the right decision and choice as a parent, even though it must have been extremely, extremely hard. And on that note, I will let you go. Thank you for listening, and let me know in the comments your experience about moving abroad. It doesn't have to be London or England. Why you moved wherever you moved to, from wherever you're from, and if you regret it, if you have, and if you had any help when you had to make the decision, if you would like to go back. So let me know all about that, and I will see you soon. Thank you for listening.